What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. I'm going to break down some big news that's come out involving Tesla that could cause some volatility at 1:30 p.m. What you should be watching for as time goes on. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed a 25 in total. And deposit $5,000, and you're guaranteed 60 free stocks. The offer ends very soon on July 31st, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, as far as the market's going, we have a double top leg structure, at least on Tesla so far. We also have the support right here at 352. If this fails us, we could be tipping a lot more all the way down towards 347. So keep that in mind. There is that weakness that still is developing. But whether or not we see this big rejection, if we get a bounce, depends on some factors. I do want to give you guys a warning about Tesla potentially dipping when we open, as we're seeing some weakness right here. But later on during the day, I do want to remind you all that President Trump has a press conference with Elon Musk today at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when they're scheduled to be speaking at the press conference. So President Trump is going to be the main speaker and Elon Musk is going to be there. He might say something. So we'll see if that causes anything big for Tesla. That could be very, very important as well. So please keep that in mind. On top of this, I just wanted to add on that we just got our PCE data. Everything's aligned with expectations, with core PCE month over month being at 0.1%. And then we have the year over year data for PCE, all items is at 2.1%. Not to mention the fact that all items month over month is at 0.1%. And finally, 2.5% is PCE year over year, which is kind of like a slight decrease compared to before and not too bad. It's aligned with expectations for core PCE. So all the data is decent, basically aligned with expectations for PCE inflation. Now, we also have, the Chicago PMI at 9:45 a.m. and at 10 a.m. Look for some volatility as we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Reports. That could also cause some volatility. So get ready once that comes out if that causes a big move. Now, there was some negative news that came out, at least for the U.S. markets. The U.S. is saying that its trade talks with China are not moving forward, as we have Scott Bessent coming out saying that right now the talks have stalled for a bit. President Trump has criticized them as a result of this. He mentioned that China was in grave danger and that the very high tariffs made it impossible for them to trade into the US. That hurt them. And then he said that he did this so that they could make a very, very fast deal in order to save them from what he thought was going to be a very bad situation. And he didn't want to see that happen. So that's why President Trump claims he came up with the deal. And because of this deal, everything quickly stabilized and China got back to business as usual. Everything was happy. That was good news. The bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with the US. So much for being Mr. Nice Guys. As President Trump said so far, right now there are tensions rising between the US and China as we're seeing trade talks stalling and more criticism from both sides. We had, China's speaker for the Commerce Ministry criticized the US yesterday, wanting them to abolish the tariffs. Now we have President Trump criticizing China, so it's now a back and forth game. So keep that in mind. That's kind of like what's happening right now. Costco announced earnings yesterday. They did relatively well, but we're going to see how the tariffs end up affecting them. That's still to be determined. And a couple more things, like I said before, with President Trump's tariffs overall, they are back as of right now, as a federal appeals court temporarily paused a lower court ruling that blocked his reciprocal tariffs. President Trump appealed, and this happened like two times, right? We had one court block it, then he appealed, it got unblocked, then they got blocked again by a different court, and then we just got the news that came out that a federal court has appealed it again, as President Trump is not happy about the decisions that are being made by the courts. So the appeals court has brought the tariffs back as of right now, and we'll see if there's anything else that happens. So be very patient with that. We also had some news that came out for Costco. Decent earnings overall, but we'll have to see what happens with the tariffs. They could cost Costco millions, and we'll see what they end up doing, how it affects their prices. President Trump also met with Jerome Powell, and I talked about that yesterday, so I'm not going to go over all the details. One last thing, we have a little bit under, not a little under, a little bit over 500,000 of these puts expiring. It's going to be very important. So that's going to cause a big interesting 500,000 calls expiring, excuse me, guys, and over 1.1 million puts expiring. So let me just correct myself there. Sorry about that. We have a 2.11 puts to call ratio, and 580 is max pain. So this may cause some volatility. So we'll see what this leads to. Will we see the market close closer to max pain? If that's the case, it could cause some downside, but we'll see. Tesla has a double top here. We are showing some weakness. We need to see Tesla try to reclaim 358. If we reclaim that, we could be looking for some kind of rebound move. If we can't reclaim those, there's going to be a risk of us rejecting, coming back down to 352. And if that doesn't hold, there's going to be a risk of us dipping a lot more, especially as we have this imbalance over here, all the way down to like 348. So you want to be very, very careful. We need to see Tesla get back above 360 to balance. If we reclaim 360, we're looking for a big move back up, trying to get back up towards 364. I do believe that Tesla's going to see a lot of shuffling right here between our EMAs, between 355 and 352. There's going to be a bit of a shuffle, and there might be a downside risk if we get a rejection. So please be careful since we have a double top setup. We might see a temporary move down as we approach Elon Musk's very, very big press conference with President Trump. We'll see if Elon Musk even says anything. On the other hand, I just want to say that the market has a left shoulder, head, and right shoulder setup on SPY. Unless we get back above 592 to rebound, the odds are favoring this panning out and us dipping to like 583 and eventually 578 to fill that gap. So please be very careful. The QQQ, same setup. We have a left shoulder, a head, right shoulder. Now, unless we get back above 523 to rebound, if we can't do that, we're also favoring 515 or below. And if we start dipping to like 508s to fill that gap, like I said before, that could be a negative catalyst for Tesla, and that could also contribute to Tesla dipping. If we lose, 352, we could be dipping even more towards like 347. So I just want to give you guys a warning about that. The IWM, same thing, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Unless we get back above like 208s to bounce, we're actually favoring this gap fill for 202. ES, similar setup. We have a left shoulder, head, and right shoulder. Unless we get back above 59.50 to bounce, we're watching to see if 59 hard holds. If it doesn't, we could be dipping all the way down to the 58.50s or below. On NQ, we have a left shoulder, head, and then a right shoulder. We need to get back above 21,500. If not, we could be dipping all the way down towards 21,000 or below. So keep that in mind. Bitcoin is making lower highs. We have this resistance at 106,000. We'll see if we reject off this or not. I favor that it's going to try to push for 106,800. We'll see if it rejects. Nvidia showing some weakness here. We have like a head and shoulders top. We need to get back above 140. If it doesn't, we could be dipping to 136. So please be careful with Nvidia. Apple also has this head and shoulders unless we get back above like 200 to bounce. If we don't do that, we're going to kind of like push it and start dipping all the way down to fill the gap at 196. For Netflix, we're trying to rebound right here. We could be looking for an attempt for 1200. We'll see if you reject. Keep that in mind. AMD is also rejecting here. We have a slanted head and shoulders. We need to break and hold above like 114. If we can't, we're going to be at risk of tipping to like 110. PayPal, same setup. Unless we get back above 71, we're favoring a move back down to 68. Excuse me. Amazon has a head and shoulders. Unless we get back above 206, we are currently favoring a dip to about 200. Coinbase is on a downtrend, not looking too good. I need to see it reclaim like 250 to bounce. It might try to push towards that. And we'll see if it rejects to dip towards like 243. There's still a risk of downside. Meta has a left shoulder, head, and right shoulder. We're consolidating between 640 and 644 as of right now. But if we lose 640, we're going to likely be dipping down to like 635. So be careful, guys. We'll have to see how things end up going. On Google, we're seeing the same thing here, kind of like a head and shoulders. We could be looking for 173. We'll see if you reject and start dipping below 170, especially as we have this big gap to fill. So give that some time. And for Google, same setup. We have a double top here, a left shoulder, head, and right shoulder. I would like to see Microsoft try to push for like 460 or above to try to push higher. I do think we might be testing 460, but if it does not break this high here, we're looking for that head and shoulders setup. So you want to be very, very careful. The VIX is starting to bounce here. If it holds above 20, we could be looking for this gap for 22. So please be very careful. I do see a downside risk in the current setups, but we'll see what happens to Tesla. Don't forget, we have President Trump and Elon Musk hosting that press conference, which is going to be happening at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So get ready for volatility then. Until then, we'll see what happens with the Michigan consumer sentiment data coming out at 10 a.m. And I do want to give you guys the risk that, the warning of a risk of downside for Tesla. Anyways, thank you for listening. Have a good one and peace out.